Hey everyone, and welcome back to another Legion video. Today, it's going to be a kind of new way of doing a UI. It has been possible since the launch of Legion, but I haven't seen any coverage of it. I've got a lot of questions about it, and basically what I have here is a showcase of it working. It's not a full UI that's designed for gameplay or anything like that. But regardless, I've got so many questions about this, even though it's barely appeared in videos. So I thought I'd do a video on it. The real idea with this video is that I'm just showing you a tool that you can use yourself to make your own UI better. Basically, you are able to parent WeakAuras elements to the personal resource display that was added in Legion. Unlike most UI elements, the personal resource display moves along with your character. That means you can have some UI elements pretty much always be around your character's feet. Not 100% sure what the best use for this is, but I did get a lot of requests, and it did seem quite nifty when I was making an action cam friendly UI for a video that I was doing a while back. So while this is perfect for making an action cam UI, it's also great for some other uses. One example would be just having your UI paired to your character, so that no matter what your camera zoom is, your key icons and things like that are always around your character's feet, which is generally a good place to be looking in case something bad spawns under there. Also, if you like the personal resource display, you can use this to either skin it to look nicer, or you can use this to add more functionality to it, which is something I actually saw a mage do on a forum post where they basically built their core UI around the personal resource display, which seemed pretty cool. It requires a tiny bit of code. It's actually quite fiddly to do, but I will show you a quick walkthrough of actually doing this yourself in a little bit of time within this video. Now, I threw together, for what I was doing, some assets from a Legion-themed UI. There's a link to that in the description, but I skinned the personal resource display using artwork from that pack. Nothing too fancy, but the artwork is not mine to distribute, so you'll have to do that yourself if you want, sort of Legion art that looks like that. Overall, what I've liked about this is that it can make a really nice, clean-looking UI, and of course, there's also some good functionality in regards to having stuff always be in and around your character that I think is pretty damn cool. One of the big things about me and UIs is I like the UI to be as small and sort of get out of the way, because at the end of the day, you should be focusing on the boss fight. It's a bit like if you're driving a car, you don't want a massive heads-up display in your car because you need to be looking at the goddamn road. Well, as times went on with World of Warcraft, boss mechanics are generally more visible, so I feel like having a UI that's a series of graphs and stuff like that, unless you are doing high-end mythic progression, you're probably easier just to look at the fight, and you'll probably be fine. But anyway, let's hop in game and actually take a look at how this works. Okay, so here I am on the Demon Hunter now. Two strange things. Number one, Arthas is floating around my mouse. More about that later. Number two, I'm recording this pretty much a month after I recorded what you just watched. Why? Well, the feature that I was going to show you was something that was kind of put in a very custom way. It was very fiddly to work with. The good news is that, the WeakAuras guys have actually just put it in as a supported feature that works really well, that doesn't have bugs, that's easy to use. Honestly, it's pretty damn lovely, so today I'm just going to, show you how to do it with the new system that they made. So if I just type in /WA, the first thing you'll notice is, if I go to this here, which is Arthas, under display, first of all, it's just triggering so that if my health is greater than 0, it's showing, but yeah, whatever. If I go down to down here, anchored to. Now, normally, that's just somewhere, on the screen or a parent frame or something like that. Now, you can select the personal resource display. You can also hit select frame, which will let you basically let you arbitrarily put anything as a child of any frame, as far as its anchor and its position is. Anyway, let's delete that and do something a little bit more normal. So let's go. Actually, you know what? We'll just use their template feature. So we'll do an icon, we'll make it a big icon, yeah, and we'll make this a spell cooldown, and let's see which ability. Fellblade's it's a pretty, nice short cooldown, easy for us to test with. Now, anchored to, we are instead going to select personal resource display. As you can see, we now have this WeakAuras anchor thing that is spawned, and that just lets us position things relative to wherever our personal resource display is going to appear. So let's just put this kind of above my personal resource display, and that actually should be us good to go. So I'll close the WeakAuras config menu, and we're going to head into combat, and hopefully, there we go. and it is attached to my personal resource display, as you can see. Now, you might be wondering, why are these bartender bars here? If you remember, there was a video I was doing, basically if I hit Q, I don't need to aim that on the ground. There'll be a link to that video somewhere around this one, but yeah, for that video, I wanted so that when I was in combat, people could see what my buttons were, even though I don't necessarily need to play with these because they're all on muscle memory. So that's why that looks a little bit ugly. Ideally, you wouldn't... I mean, ideally, actually, I'll just turn them off now. Now, it's worth saying that the only reason why that stuff that I'm, on bartender is being hidden is because it's all muscle memory, and it is all, ideally, because this is not a gameplay UI right here. This needs to be worked on before it can be used for gameplay. This is just like a tiny little concept thing for what you can actually do with this parenting technique. So even though, like, as an example, well, all of these other bars down here, what I'm doing with the personal resource display itself, that is all kind of using the old system, unfortunately. So, like, the way that that was done is you had some custom triggers. You then had sort of this action running on load, or on initialization. It was kind of fiddly to work with, but I was able to, as a little concept thing, do what you can see here. Now, just so you're aware of what you're actually looking at here, well, first of all, if I use demon spikes, it's not perfect, but you can kind of see how that's working. Looking at the personal resource display, you'll probably notice it's skinned. What I've actually done is I've made my own health bar and fury meter, and just put those on top of, on top of the personal resource display, and then I basically just nabbed a texture from from somebody else's texture pack, which obviously I don't have permission to to redistribute that to you. So if you want to do anything fancy with a custom texture as a skin, you're going to have to do that yourself. But basically, this is just an image with alpha, and because there's alpha, or well, because the alpha in the middle of this is set to 0, then you just put a bar underneath it and you're pretty much good to go. That's really all that there is, though. What I was able to do there very simply by just selecting one thing is what can make you sort of be able to make a nice little UI like the one that I've got over here to the right. Now, if I actually look at what these are WeakAuras dynamic groups. And a dynamic group, basically, it's just one that'll kind of... it just helps order itself and stuff like that, and it's best just to play around with them, get a feel for how they work. But what you would then be able to do is take your dynamic group, and you know what, this will probably break it, but let's just give it a go. Let's see what happens if I tell this to parent to the personal resource display, and maybe just to go over there, and when I go to actions, I will turn off that custom initialization thing. This should be okay, though there's a million reasons. Yeah, wow, it actually worked. Huh, that's pretty cool. But yeah, you can see that's just a rough idea of the sort of stuff you can do with this. Why would you want to do this overall? Well, it does keep your abilities and stuff underneath your character, so no matter what zoom you're at in a raid fight, no matter where you're looking, the stuff that you want to see in a fight will always be there, which is pretty cool. Now, it's also the case if you wanted to make a more immersive looking UI. Imagine this big, ugly Fellblade cooldown is in the middle, but if you wanted a more immersive UI for whatever reason, yeah, you could use something like this to actually make that happen as well. Yeah, I just think this is a cool little feature, and I'm really happy that they decided to make it a default of WeakAuras, because, yeah, I know, it's a lot more user-friendly. Now, a good use of this, like looking at the personal resource display, some people like that as a UI element, but they don't really like how it doesn't have enough functionality to it. Well, if maybe imagine I was playing a DK, I could put runes under this, so my personal resource display would have runes. I could put any custom timers, bars, etc. that I want, all on my personal resource display. Now, of course, I can arbitrarily attach frames to any other frames using a technique like this, which is extremely handy as well, just for quickly building out UI. But the main cool thing that I guess is shiny that I wanted to show you is this. And yeah, I suppose that really is it for what I want to cover in this video, just a cool little technique that you can now do. Thank you very much for watching the video. I'd be very keen to hear if you do decide to make something cool with this. Maybe hit me up on Twitter or something. I'm interested to see what people will do with this tool now that the WeakAuras developers have actually added it. But that's it for me, guys. Thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you next time.